get started. Chris is here. That's good. I think he just went out to buy a TV, so he was a little bit rushed back. I think he just got here like with a minute to spare, so that's good. Yeah, welcome back to Crunch Time. This is the show where you get the latest and greatest slate overview each and every day, 2 hours before lock. Today we have a nice and manageable 5-game slate over on Fanduel. I think it's also 5 on Draftkings. Both start at 7 p.m. Eastern, so it's a little bit better. I like it when they start at the same time. And yeah, I'm joined as always with Chris, aka Chris Air DFS. How are you doing today? How's your TV? Good purchase or not?
Haven't been able to set it up yet. Just got out of the shower, so my hair is a little wet. But yeah, we have a nice slate here. 5 games, I believe. A few blowouts, maybe. Yesterday wasn't too great. The chalk games kind of blew out. The Brooklyn Atlanta game wasn't tight at the end, so Kyrie and Katie and Trae Young weren't really playing at the end of the game. And then obviously the Washington Minnesota game blew out in the third quarter, so didn't get any run from the main guys in the fourth, which was pretty disappointing. I actually really liked D'Angelo Russell, and of course he let me down once again. So hopefully we get it right today with the projections, and then all the games stay close, stay as expected, and we should have a good one.
Yeah, lots of blowouts this year. I think we definitely need that vote for the relegation. Move some teams over to the G League or something like that. Because I mean, I don't think the blowouts are that fun for basketball fans. It's not. I don't know. I don't really like them, and they seem to be happening quite often now. I think part of it probably has to do with all the players moving around all the time and forming superstar teams and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but might just be some slow starts and just guys getting their legs under them. So hopefully, as the season goes on, we get some better games.
Yeah, hopefully that picks up or fixes up. Yeah, before we go on to today's slate, if you guys haven't already, if it isn't your first time here, if you guys like this content, be sure to like the video. It helps us out a lot with discovery. And then also, if you like our content, subscribe and hit the bell button so you can always get notifications when we go live. One other thing, we always do the overview using our optimizer, dfscrunch.com. If you guys haven't tried it yet, there's a 3-day free trial. You can follow along during the live stream and kind of use it, learn how to use it. You get access to a bunch of different sports, NBA, NFL, college football, college basketball, everything. There's esports even. Lots of features, lots of stuff. We'll show you today as we do the show. And yeah, let's jump right into the first game. We can go over
I just want to say we have NFL tomorrow, so if you do want to try the tool out today, you got NBA today, NFL tomorrow, a full NFL slate, and then NBA tomorrow, and then not sure if there's Monday Night Football tomorrow, but hopefully. And yeah, you get all that in the 3-day trial.
All right, before we start, we actually have one quick question for you, Chris. Do you know what type of product Chris uses in his hair?
Who's that from?
That's from Brandon.
Oh, I hate that guy. I don't know. I think I used some L'Oreal, something like that. Not too special. You know?
Sounds like value. L'Oreal value right there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into this.
He asked that question yesterday, and I think you went over it. You ignored him. Yeah.
I didn't see it. He's coming back every day to ask the same question about the hair. That's nice. Okay, we do have one more question from Hasty. What about all the back-to-back games this year, doubleheader style, going to change things this season? Hard to beat a team twice in a row?
Yeah, we saw that with the Brooklyn and Atlanta mini series there, two games back-to-back. So, I mean, I probably don't expect it to change too much. Like maybe if you're looking at it from a coaching perspective, like yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but we gotta trust the Vegas lines here. They're sharper than all of us, so that's what I like to do.
Yeah, when in doubt, trust Vegas. That's what Chris always says.
Even when not in doubt, I trust Vegas.
Always trust Vegas, basically. GQ Chris.
GQ? Yeah, should I let my hair down?
GQ Chris, and then also we've got a few Amazon orders for your hair gel now. Affiliate link in the description. Okay, yeah, let's get into this game. I think overall today the biggest news we were looking for was Harden. I think that's confirmed. He's out. And then also Gallinari is probably the most notable one. I'm not sure if that's confirmed, but we'll get into that as we go on.
Yeah, so the Harden one is actually in the game that already started, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we can go over the Knicks first. For them, we have Dennis Smith Jr. out. Frank Ntilikina, got his name right today, I think, out. Burks, questionable. Quickly, probable. Toppin, still out. Knox in. Spellman, out for them. For their starters right now, we have Payton, Barrett, Bullock, Randall, and Robinson. Are you interested in Payton? You seem to like him, like from slate to slate, but he does do that thing where you said he has a disappearing act as well. What do you think of the Knicks today?
Just to touch on Elfrid Payton, not as much interest from me today, just because Quickly is back. Rivers actually closed the game over him last time out, so I don't mind him as a last piece. I think he's a better play on FanDuel, only 5K, but as I'm saying, last piece only for me. So the Knicks have a 104 implied team total, so it's one of the lowest on the slate. But the thing is with them, we know that Tom Thibodeau is going to run them into the ground. So guys like Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, they stand out to me. They should see the floor a lot, especially with Indiana running two bigs most of the game with Sabonis and Turner. So I do like both of them. I think they're better plays on FanDuel in general for both formats.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to wait on Alec Burke news. If he's out, it probably bumps up RJ Barrett a bit more, maybe a bit of a bump to Payton, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
Okay, let's go into the Indiana side of things. For them, I guess no notable injuries there. Starters right now, we have Brogdon, Holiday, Victor Oladipo, Sabonis, and Turner. Oladipo's looked kind of good, and I think with Warren out, he's probably going to get a bit more usage for a bit, right?
Yeah, so the notable injury is TJ Warren. He's out. I think he's something with his foot.
Plantar fasciitis or something like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, these guys are priced fairly. Like, they're not really standing out to me today. I think we have the best game of the slate at the end of the night, so we'll get to that one. Yeah, but for the Pacers, like, if you want them as last pieces, same sort of thing. I don't mind Sabonis on both sites as a last piece. Not prioritizing him just because I think we're more in a mid-range build and he doesn't really fit our optimals today. So don't mind Sabonis. Oladipo you went over. He's looked good, especially with Warren out. That helps him.
Yep.
Don't mind that. And then Aaron Holiday, another guy, 3.7K on FanDuel. I think he's 3.8 on DraftKings, so that price is decent as well. He's not going to give you a ceiling, but if he's starting as we project, like, he has a decent floor. So don't mind him as a last piece, but not really anyone that stands out to me here outside of Sabonis if you really want to jam him in.
He's had some good games this year, fantasy-wise. Sabonis, he's quite solid. Like he has good upside, I think.
Yeah, Sabonis, he's a solid play. It's hard to spend up for me when there's not too much great value on this slate. That's the main reason why I don't have too much interest in going there. Obviously, if we had some more value, or if we have value open up, I think Sabonis will be a priority. But as of now, he's sort of hard to fit.
Yeah, and that's also interesting because we do have him as one of the higher. He's quite high, 32% projected ownership over on FanDuel. But I guess it's a 5-game slate. It's probably more to do with that, or what do you think?
I mean, no,
there's more interest in him.
Sabonis, he should crush. Like he's been getting like 45, 50, so his price is fair for him. But as I was saying, like it's just hard to fit him in without the value pieces that we usually have.
Yeah, and I think some nights he kind of goes under the radar. Like he's quite a bit lower projected ownership, and I think those are the nights where I like to roster him a bit more in GPPs. But today, he's kind of high up there. So yeah, take into account what Chris said about other plays today.
Yeah, so like if you want to play him, you have to get some ugly pieces like, I don't know, Michael Carter-Williams. You don't really want him with Terrence Ross back. So just my builds fit better without him. I get more of a balanced build. That's the main reason why I'm not prioritizing him. But obviously he's a great play.
Yeah. Hasty says be unique. Yeah, that's definitely something for GPP. For cash, you don't want to be unique, right? Not always.
I mean, it's always better to be unique. You never want to have the same lineup as anyone else. But if you just land there like and you're not unique, it is what it is. Like you don't want to put yourself at a disadvantage. And also, if Brandon's still here, Sabonis's game log, it looks really good. I know he likes that, so I know Sabonis is probably going to be in his lineups today.
Yeah.
Big game log watcher there.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Let's jump into the next one. We have OKC at Orlando. No injuries, no new injuries, no new news for the OKC side. Or are there? We just have Ty Jerome listed as injured for them. And then for their starters, we have SGA, Hill, Dort, Baisley, and Horford. Any interest in this game today?
I think these guys are priced better on FanDuel for me. I think SGA stands out at shooting guard. Only 8.2K. He hasn't had a great last few games, but I really like him just in this role without Chris Paul. He has the ball in his hands a lot. He shoots a lot, so if the game stays competitive, he probably has like 45, 50 point upside. So I like him a lot on FanDuel as one of my spend ups. On DraftKings, someone like Theo Maledon, he's a decent last piece, 3.2K if you need that value. I don't think we need it, but he is there if you want him. He should see around like 20, 24 minutes, so 200 over the minimum. We don't have much value today on this slate, so that helps a bit. Outside of SGA and Maledon, not too much here. It's pretty ugly. Maybe Al Horford in GPPs just because he's, I don't know, if you think he's good, he can get there, but he hasn't looked too good. Like his minutes have been under 30. We don't love that, so not too much here outside of SGA, honestly.
Yep. I have some comments here. Sabonis going to crush tonight from Hasty, and then also Dort going to play lots on Oladipo.
Dort on Oladipo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if Oladipo was still on Orlando, yeah, but he's on the Pacers now, so can't really go with that narrative.
Okay, and then that was from Hasty. And then we have a comment, Trae Young question mark from Arshia.
Yeah, we'll get there. I think he's probably one of the best spend ups today, but yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, and then one more comment on this game from Trigga. Al Horford smash.
Smash spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has interesting GPPs probably for me. He should be guarding Vucevic mainly, so maybe he gets a few more minutes just to match up with him. But yeah, I'm a fan of Horford. I think his price tag is fair, but he's not landing in my cash builds today, but don't mind him in GPPs.
Okay, let's go into the news on the Orlando side. Right now we have Ross in, Fournier questionable, and then Ennis out for them. For their starters, we have Markelle Fultz, Fournier, Bacon, Gordon, and Vooch. Any interest in paying up for Vooch today?
No, not too much for me. I think just on FanDuel, we don't have the money to get there at center. And then on DraftKings, we have guys like Drummond, who we'll talk about later. Capella is also interesting, so not too much interest in Vooch for me today. Tough matchup against OKC, so pretty slow-paced. The main guy here is Markelle Fultz. His price tag stands out to me on FanDuel, 5.8K. No DJ Augustine there, of course, this season, so his minutes floor is pretty good. He didn't look good last game, only played 24 minutes. Still got 21 fantasy points, but I expect his minutes to be around 30 to 34. So he does have a pretty good price tag on FanDuel.
Yep.
Maybe Evan Fournier, if we get word that he's in. I don't mind him on DraftKings. He's 5.3K, same price on FanDuel. Just if you need him in the mid-range, he's there. I don't mind him, but not a priority for me. Yeah, it's a pretty ugly game, to be honest, outside of the main guys in SGA for OKC, and then I like Fultz just because of his price tag.
Yeah, I think it is an ugly game. We do have one comment from Henry Gold on YouTube back to Al Horford. He says he has no ceiling.
Al Horford has no ceiling?
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, you got to take into account his price tag. Like last year, we saw him around like 7.5K. Right now, he's 5.4K. So the ceiling is a little different for that price tag. Like if he can get you 40, which I think he can, that's a pretty good ceiling for him on this slate at 5.4K.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, let's go into the next game. We have Charlotte against Philadelphia. I think LaMelo Ball, I wouldn't say broke the slate yesterday, but he definitely hit value over on Fanduel at a low ownership. I think he was still under 10%, but he definitely hit value. I think he got 30 fantasy points at, what was it, 5K price tag or something like that?
Yeah, 5.3.
Yeah, we can go over Charlotte first. We have Monk probable for them, and then starters we have Graham, Rozier, Washington, Hayward, and Biyombo. Any interest in this game?
So Charlotte, not too much interest for me from a cash game perspective, but there are guys here that are interesting in GPPs, like LaMelo Ball you mentioned. If he sees like 30 minutes, I think he has upside for 40 fantasy points, so that's interesting if you want to take some shots on him. I do like him as a player, as a DFS player. Like he does everything. He fills the stat sheets, and that's what we like.
Yeah, quick question for him to hit 30 minutes, what do you think has to happen?
Well, he saw 29 2 games ago and then 26 or 27 last game, so it's not too far-fetched. Like it's a back-to-back, so maybe they play their like older guys a little less, give LaMelo a few more minutes, so there are definitely routes for him getting a few more minutes.
And then is this supposed to be a close game? I think 12-point spread.
Yeah, that's pretty big. This is one of the, if you want to predict a blowout, this is it. Just because actually both these teams are on a back-to-back, so not too much worry there. Maybe some guys get a few less minutes, but yeah, back to Charlotte. Gordon Hayward, don't mind him in GPPs. I think he hasn't looked too good his last 2 games, but his first 3 he looked good. He had a 50-point game and then a 45-point game, so definitely has that ceiling, but just not anyone here that I want to target in my cash games. Just probably LaMelo and Gordon Hayward in GPPs.
Both sides for LaMelo?
I like him a bit more on FanDuel. Just I think he has some steal and block upside. Don't mind him on DraftKings either, but doesn't stand out to me as much.
And then in terms of the game script, do you think a blowout would play into favor for someone like LaMelo Ball?
Yeah, he's played blowout minutes.
Okay, yeah, so that's something I'd be interested in for GPP for sure. We have a question on the Philadelphia side. I'll just go over the news first and the starters, and then I'll ask Chris right away. For Philadelphia, we have Mike Scott out, and then starters we have Simmons, Curry, Green, Harris, and Embiid. The question we have is Green worth a look as a value play today?
I mean, Danny Green, like you never like to roster him. If he's hitting his shot, I guess he could get there, but it's a pretty big if, in my opinion, just because I don't think he's a good player. So not too much interest there, to be honest. The main guy here that I want to target is Tobias Harris on FanDuel. 7.2K, pretty fair price tag in that mid-range. I think he can get you that floor of 35 fantasy points. A bit of upside, maybe 40 to 45, but just I like him for the floor on this slate. So yeah, I'm a fan of Tobias today. And then Mike Scott is out, as you said. That helps Tobias a little as well. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, probably GPP only for me. I like Ben Simmons on FanDuel. His price tag is 8.6, so that's a pretty good GPP play for me. If you play him in cash, don't mind him as a last piece. Embiid, probably too expensive for me. We have other centers that we'd rather take on this slate. For that reason, if you want to jam him into your GPP lineups, I don't mind that. But yeah, not anything here in my cash games other than Tobias on FanDuel.
Okay, let's jump into the next game. Cleveland versus Atlanta. The Hawks have looked really good this year. Any thoughts? Like, what do you think of the Hawks this year, Chris, before I jump into the starters and injuries?
Yeah, they look good. I think they're 4-1 now, so they beat Brooklyn. Obviously, Brooklyn's one of the biggest favorites, but they also had a loss against Brooklyn, and then their 3 other games were against bad teams: Detroit, Memphis, Chicago. So can't really look at it today and say that they're a good team just because the sample size is so small and they've played some bad teams. But yeah, they do look good. They beat Brooklyn last night, so definitely look better than in seasons past.
Yeah, for sure. Their roster looks really good this year, in my opinion. We can go over Cleveland first. For injuries and news, we have Porter out, Windler out, Okoro still out, Matthew Dellavedova out. And then for their starters, we have Garland, Sexton, Exum, Nance, Drummond. Any interest in Exum today as a value piece? And Drummond, I think you mentioned you liked Drummond today. Interested in him?
Yeah, so this game is the best game to target players from. Atlanta plays fast. Cleveland doesn't play much D. They also play pretty fast. So this game has an over-under of 230. The other 4 games today are hovering around 215. So this is clearly the game to target players from. Cleveland is projected to score 112. No Kevin Love, so we get some condensed usage there. So guys like Larry Nance, Andre Drummond stand out for me as in the front court for them. I like them both on both sites. Drummond more of a DraftKings play for me, just because, as I always say, we can only pick one center on FanDuel. So he's probably going to be more popular on DraftKings. Larry Nance, I like him on both sites. He's on the cover of our thumbnail today. 6.9K on DraftKings and then 6.8 on FanDuel. Pretty good price on both sites. I do like him a lot. He's been seeing big minutes with Love out. He saw 36 last game, 43 the game before, and then he obviously had the monster game the first time Love was out with 54 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Larry Nance. In the backcourt, Garland and Sexton, I like them a lot as well, just because they've looked good. Best game to target players from. They're chucking. Sexton is shooting around like 19 shots per game. So we do like that for his price tag. Garland also same sort of thing, shooting around 15 shots per game. I like Garland more on DraftKings, only 6K compared to 7.5 on FanDuel, which is really
Big
expensive.
difference.
Yeah, so I would stay away on FanDuel. I really like him on DraftKings. And then Sexton, vice versa, 7.1K on DraftKings and 6.8 on FanDuel. So the FanDuel tag stands out for me there. So I like Sexton on FanDuel in cash games as well as GPPs. And then last guy, you mentioned him, Dante Exum, as a value piece. We never really like to play Dante Exum just because he seems to always stand in the corner, not do much. But if he's starting, should see, 28 to 30 minutes in this great game environment. So I like him on DraftKings, 3.6K. He sort of makes builds work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for the Cavs.
That's a big summary. We have some. I just saw some news. Fournier is confirmed out, and then Carter Williams is confirmed starting for the previous Orlando game we went over.
Okay, so I guess we can go back to that after we recap the slate.
Last game,
the games, and then because that's pretty big news, we'll
Yeah.
probably change some things with that.
And then some comments in the chat. Hasty says Exum is a bum. Trigger
Yeah,
says no one in the league is stopping Sexland duo. Can only hope to contain them. And then a comment from Henry. He says it's Chetty Osman's smash day. He's 3 for his last 20. What do you think of that?
So to summarize, yeah, I think Exum is a bum. The Sexland duo is really good. I agree with that take. And then Chetty Osman, I'm not a big fan of him. Just he seems pretty scoring dependent. Like, we know the shots are coming from Sexton and Garland, and then the rebounds are coming from Nance and Drummond. So just like he stands in the corner, if the ball goes to him and he's hitting shots, that's probably the only way he gets there. If he's starting instead of Exum, then I'll have interest in him and no interest in Exum. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But for now, I'm not really a fan of Osman.
Okay. And then Hasty with a hot take, predicting a blowout for Atlanta by 20 points. And then we have another comment from Trigger. Who do you think is going to play more, Dante Exum or Raul Neto?
Neto yesterday or what?
Yeah, I don't think he's not playing, right?
yeah, he's not on the slate today, but I mean, I think Exum will see like 28 to 30 minutes if he's starting. Just got to keep an eye on that news.
Okay, let's go over Atlanta now quickly. Injuries, we have Rondo, Okongwu. I think I got that one better this time. And then Goodwin, questionable. Gallinari out. I think that's one of the bigger pieces of news here. And Snell also out. For their starters, we have Young, Reddish, Hunter, Collins, and Clint Capella. What do you think of the plays on Atlanta today? Are they cash viable?
Yeah, so this is the best team to take players from. They have the highest implied team total at 118 right now. I think it should stay competitive. Atlanta is on the second half of a back-to-back here. Cleveland isn't, I believe. Yeah, I don't think they played yesterday. They played on New Year's Eve. So we're good with that. So I do think for that reason it will stay competitive. Atlanta obviously had to travel from Brooklyn down to Atlanta, so that hurts them a bit. Maybe a few less minutes on the back end of a back-to-back, but can't really predict that. So I really like all these guys. Trae Young, I think he's an elite GPP play. He's probably a bit too expensive for my cash games, just because, as I mentioned earlier with Sabonis, I believe, we don't have many great value pieces that really open up that price tag for Trae Young. So kind of hard to get to him. John Collins, I like him on FanDuel, 7K. That price tag is really nice. A bit more on DraftKings, 7.5. Don't love it, but definitely like him on FanDuel, both formats. Last guy I'll mention here, Clint Capella on DraftKings, only 5.2K. I think that's just too cheap for him in this game environment. He should see the court a lot just to match up with Drummond, and then they'll have John Collins probably on Larry Nance. So I do like the two bigs here today. Capella 6-1 on FanDuel doesn't really fit as well as his price tag on DraftKings, so definitely prefer him over on DK.
Yeah.
You can take some shots on Reddish, Bogdanovich, Hunter, but I think I mentioned it yesterday. We don't know where it's going to come from with their wings, and Gallo is out, as you said, so probably one of these guys has a ceiling game today, but just it's hard to predict who it's going to be.
Yeah, I think Trigger, he's a fan of Chetty Osman because he's saying he's freakish. Hasty asked about Hunter. He said he really liked him. You just touched upon that. And then two things. I think we just got news that Quickly is in today for the New York Knicks. And then also I just wanted to ask you about the game script. Like if it does blow out like Hasty thinks it will by 20 points for Atlanta, who do you think will be like a good sneaky GPP pickup in this game?
So the spread here is 6. So I personally don't think it comes out. But if you're predicting that on Cleveland, maybe someone like Chetty Osman, as I think Trigger was saying. So maybe him. He had a decent game in their only blowout this season. Sexton probably gets his minutes cut, same as Garland in a blowout. Nance, same thing. Drummond, same thing. So none of them if you're predicting that. On Atlanta's kind of weird. In blowouts, they kind of run their main guys out there still, or at least last year they did. So I think guys like Reddish would be interesting. He'll probably play blowout minutes. Kevin Huerter as well. He's on that second unit now, not starting anymore. So I think he'll get blowout run. Yeah, probably Reddish and Huerter are my main guys here in that scenario. Hunter, Hasty mentioned him. His game log looks really good, so I don't blame you for playing him. 4.6K, fair price tag there. So yeah, I don't mind these guys if you're predicting a blowout, but if not, I think we should just trust the spread here.
Yeah, I think we should have considered putting Chetty as our cover boy today because there's so much comment on him. Two more quick ones before we jump into the last game. Chetty, worst ball defender in NBA. Good thing that doesn't matter for DFS. And then apparently Trigger saying he had a nice 360 windmill dunk a few nights ago.
Chetty Osman?
Yeah, Chetty. I didn't see it.
I might have to pull that up, send it to you, and we might have to get a reaction.
Are you getting it? I'll go over the news. Do you want to do it now or after?
I mean, I'll try to look for it. Are we done with the games, or is
No,
there
we have one
more?
last one. We can just do it. You can look for it while I go over the next one. We have Toronto against the Pelicans. Let me load that one up here. Okay. We can do Toronto first. Siakam, that was kind of weird last slate. He got benched for disciplinary reasons. I think he walked off against Philadelphia because I think he got fouled out, and he just went straight to the locker room. So he got
Yeah.
benched the next game. I think we got that news after the slate started, but before that game started, so you could still late swap. It was kind of hectic. Powell smashed that slate, I think. But yeah, for on the Toronto side, we just have McCaw out, and then Siakam, I think he's back in. Starters, we have Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, OG, Siakam, and Baines. What do you think of Toronto today, Chris?
So just first of all, I want to say I couldn't find the clip. Maybe he was dreaming about it. Might be Chetty's relative in the chat. Never seen someone give so much love to Chetty Osman. But yeah, on this Toronto side, I don't know. Maybe not too much here for me, to be honest. We have a tight game spread here, only 1 point. Over under is at 215. Toronto is projected for 108, so it's decent, but definitely not as good as the Cleveland Atlanta game. So with Siakam back, we don't have interest in Powell anymore. We don't have any interest in OG, Lowry, VanVleet. They're all a bit too expensive for me, just because we don't know where the production is going to come from. I guess if you want to take some shots here, Siakam is okay on Fanduel, 7.8k. Someone that's actually surprisingly standing out for me on DraftKings is Chris Boucher, only 4.7k. If he sees 24 minutes like we predict, he should be able to beat his price tag. So don't mind him as the last piece on Toronto. If you want him, his price is too expensive on FanDuel, 5.9k. So I don't love that. Definitely more of a DraftKings play. Yeah, so not anything else here that I really want to touch upon. These guys are probably only GPP for me.
Yeah, before the show started, I actually saw the Boucher stock going up. Our projections updated him for about 3 points extra. I'm not sure. Was there any news on the Toronto side? Or was it just a good game environment for him?
No, I think it was probably just correcting. Maybe it was a little low before, but I don't think we got any news that would change anything.
Okay. We have a question from Brandon again, not about your hair product this time. Back on topic. He's asking if Boucher is in your DK lineup.
Yeah, he's in my template DK lineup. He is, yes.
Okay, and then let's see. Another comment from Trigga again about Osman. He can't stop talking about him. Heard that Atlanta's throwing 3 guys on Chetty tonight. Should open up the floor for Cleveland. Should lock him in, I think. He'll be the cover boy next game, I think. For sure, we'll put him there.
Yeah, if he scores, I don't know, 30 fantasy points or more, we'll get him on the cover of the next slate that he's on.
For sure. Okay, let's go over the Pelicans. Ingram is probable today. That's pretty big. Do you think he's going to play? I think you take probable as a yes, right?
Probable is like 95% chance that he plays for me.
Okay, and then we just have Wenyen Gabriel out as well for them. Starters, we have Lonzo Ball, Bledsoe, Ingram, Williamson, and Adams. I think Williamson, he was in foul trouble last game, right?
Yeah.
And then Bledsoe, I think he's on my list of fraudsters. You seem to like him on some nights. What do you think of Bledsoe today? Is he in your list for cash, or what do you think?
I mean, his price tag is fair. If he sees more than the 25 minutes that he has been seeing, I do like him, but it's hard to predict just because we've seen him getting less than 25, so can't just randomly predict him to get more than that. You talked about Zion. I had a brutal swap last time with that Siakam news. I had to swap to Zion. I've never seen Zion play so bad. He looked really disinterested, just picking up cheap fouls all game long. So he looked awful, but I think he fits today. We can't really use that one game sample size to write him off. So 8.1k on FanDuel. I like that price tag. And then 7-8 on DraftKings, I like that as well. We project him for around 41, so he fits well. We do know that if he's out of foul trouble, he's gonna he should be able to smash his price tag. He has 50-point upside, so a really high ceiling there. Outside of him, Ingram, as you mentioned, probable. Don't mind that. He's probably a bit too expensive for me in cash games, so GPP only. He obviously has a ceiling as well, just like Zion, so he's a pretty decent GPP play. Outside of those two guys, you can take some shots on Lonzo. I'm not a big Lonzo fan, so it's hard for me to play him in cash games, but I think he does have pretty good GPP upside on most nights, but he also has that.
You were a big Lonzo fan.
I was?
I think you were.
I mean, maybe he produced for me in DFS, that usually makes me fans of players, even if they're bad, but I think he plays decent defense, pretty good playmaker. The problem with him is he can't really finish around the rim. I think that's his biggest deficiency at the moment.
Yep. I think we've gone over the whole slate. We have some questions. I want to show one thing. I think someone, fellow cruncher, messaged me today asking about the. I think he wants to add timestamps here for the updates. He was asking if we have notifications for updates. We do. I think he might have seen them, but they're up here like throughout the. Like as the slate progresses leading up to it, we do update ownerships and projected fantasy points, and you get a bell button kind of notification thing here that lists all the latest adjustments. But yeah, there's no timestamp right now. That might be interesting to add, so you can see what was changed. So that might be something we'd consider, for sure. Questions. I think Ross asked if we went over the Philadelphia game. If you have questions like about that game in particular, you can ask them. We'll answer them. We'll go over them now. Trigger's asking about Siakam. What happened? Did he pull in Gilbert Arenas? Chris?
I'm not sure what pulling a Gilbert Arenas means. Is that bringing a gun into the locker room or what?
Yeah, probably. I don't think that's what Siakam did.
No, Siakam's he's a nice boy from Cameroon. His manners are good in the videos I've seen, so
I think he lives with like 3 or 4 of his brothers too, so he's a family-oriented guy for sure. What else do we have? Rap's about to bully Zion, and then right after that, that was from Hasty, and then right after that, Brandon says Zion's going to bounce back big tonight. Question about Shake Milton. I think that's the one he was wondering.
Shake Milton? I mean, obviously he's GPP only for me. 10-point spread, so if you think it's going to blow out, I don't mind Shake, but if you're looking at the game log, you see the 36-point outing last time. So I guess that's why you have interest in him. His minutes aren't great, like 24 minutes. Probably only if you think it's going to blow out. That's the only route I see to him getting there.
Yeah. Okay. Hasty's not a Lonzo fan, IRL. What else?
Yeah, I know that.
Brandon says he likes the Ball brothers. All of them. And
he likes the balls?
Yeah, he loves them. And then yeah, some more comments on that. Agent Zero, a real one. And then, how do you feel about Watanabe tonight? He seems like he's in for an increased run. It's on the Toronto side.
Is that like a Chetty play as well? Like, I don't see any reason he should see the court unless it's a blowout. Like, just definitely no interest for me there.
I think he played a bit last game, right? But
yeah, but it was a blowout.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Malachi Flynn saw some run too because of the blowout. Okay, with that said, we can do the dedicated Q&A. If you guys have questions, we can answer them now about construction, about our tool, about GPP settings, cash questions, whatever it is. And before we start going over some of Chris's core plays, if you guys like the content so far, be sure to like the video. That helps us out a lot with people finding our content. And then for your own sake, if you guys like the content as well, subscribe and hit the bell button so you can get notified every time we go live. We do it each and every day, 2 hours before the main slate. So it's a good place to get your slate overview, get your questions asked, and have a good time with the Crunch community. One more question before we go over your cash plays, Chris, or core plays. What opto line would you recommend tonight? I don't think we can't really answer that question, but we can go over core plays, and I guess you can kind of answer a deviation of that question. Like, I guess it has to do more with the projections. What do you think of the projections, and how do you best use them for cash games?
So, like what I usually say on the show is I trust them. I trust the projections a lot. So, usually the first optimal is going to be your best bet, but if you see like the third, fourth optimal and you like the players more, I don't mind it at all. Like usually it's like a, I don't know, 0.7 projection difference. Like that's less than one real life point, one rebound. So it's a really, really slim margin in between the two lineups. So if you like something better than the first one, like obviously I don't mind that at all. But
Yeah.
it's just slate by slate. Like you got to see who's playing. Put some of your own thought into it, I guess, and then play who you like.
Yeah, to touch up on that a bit more, the reason we can't like answer, I think, direct questions like what lineup do you like, is because DraftKings has like, I guess, community guidelines for that. Like you can't give out full lineups or anything like that, but you can kind of like you can give your core plays, favorite plays, and you can discuss lineups. But I think when you're telling people do this lineup or do that one directly without any input from the user or the question, that's when you kind of get in trouble. So we kind of do that to protect everyone's DraftKings account. It's definitely a priority for us. We don't want anyone to get into trouble. We want to follow all the rules and make money while doing that. So yeah. Question about the membership tool. I thought I saw where you offered 3 days free trial to buy. No, Ross, if you just go to the site and you set up a subscription, just as you do that, you'll get 3 days free trial. I don't know if it's set. I think it says somewhere that you get 3 days, but if you've never subscribed before, you 100% get 3 days for free. So if for whatever reason it doesn't work for you, you can message us afterwards on Twitter or Discord, and we'll fix that up. So yeah, if you haven't used it, just subscribe and you'll get 3 days free, and then you get access right away. Okay, with that said, let's go over your favorite players today, Chris.
Okay, so do you want to start on Fanduel?
Yeah, should we lock in Chetty right away?
No, I don't think we should. So we got the news that Evan Fournier was out. Actually, we can maybe just circle back to that game quickly before we do this. So no Evan Fournier, and then Michael Carter-Williams starting for him. So Michael Carter-Williams becomes an elite play just because he's starting. We're starved for value on this slate, so he's a lock for me on both sites. So we can start with that one. And then someone else I was mentioning from that game specific to Fanduel was Markelle Fultz. I also think he's a lock with no Fournier. Just solidifies his minutes a little bit more. Should see a few more shots, so I do like him a lot. And then obviously we have to go with our cover boy, Larry Nance Jr. We talked about him. No Kevin Love. Best game environment on the slate, 6.8K, just too cheap for him here. And then lastly, we can go with Colin Sexton. Same thing as Nance. No Love. Best game environment. He's shooting around 20 times per game. Just too cheap for that role. So those are my 4 core plays on Fanduel today. I guess we can build it out, see what it gives us, and then go from there.
Okay, let me just check the settings. Looks good. 2 questions, or 1 question. How much of a run do you think Quickly gets? And then also, I think we just got confirmation that Alec Burks is out for the Knicks.
Alec Burks is out?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's some news that we'll have to monitor and see how the projections update. As for the Quickly question, probably I would say around 10 minutes, 12 minutes maybe. He saw 12 minutes the first game, so I don't expect him to see like a solidified role, but probably around 12 minutes I would have to guess.
Okay. Let's go over the first two then. I think the difference here is Bledsoe and Collins. John Collins.
Yeah, it's Bledsoe, Collins, Drummond versus SGA, Zion, and Mitch Robinson. So we kind of went over Drummond. So no Kevin Love. Obviously a great spot for Drummond. Best game environment, as we said. He should see, 34, 36 minutes, assuming it's not a blowout and assuming he's not in foul trouble. So I do like Drummond a lot. I like that pick. The spend up on the second team is Zion and SGA. So as we went over the OKC game, I mentioned I do like SGA 8.2K. I like him. Zion, we went over him as well. Foul trouble is the only reason for concern, but I think he should have that sorted out. So back to the 3v3, and then we have Bledsoe in the first one. You went over Bledsoe. You don't like him. I don't mind him for 4.6K. Like, he has upside if he sees more than 25 minutes. That's probably a pretty big if, but I think the last game was a blowout, so that cut into his minutes a bit. I think he was on pace for 30. If we get 30 minutes from Bledsoe at 4.6K, that's just way too cheap for him.
Yeah.
Mitchell Robinson in the second team, 5.2K. I do like him. Don't mind him as the last piece there. So if I'm comparing the two teams here, I probably like the first side just because we're getting the spend up in Drummond. We're getting John Collins on the Atlanta side. We obviously want a piece from that team. They have the highest implied team total, so I do like that side more.
Yep. Okay. We can do DraftKings next. Before we do that, one thing that we have that is kind of interesting is when you look at your lineup, you can actually, if you don't like a player in it, you can like unselect him and then rebuild and sort of see who you would get the next optimal lineup down from that in here. So say you don't want to get, I don't know, who would you put here? Like if I don't like Eric Bledsoe, for example, I could just hit that and then I think we get Josh Hart instead of Bledsoe.
Yeah, I think usually you would do that like if you don't like a few players. Like I would put uncheck Bledsoe, uncheck Tobias Harris, uncheck Julius Randle. Like these guys are pretty volatile. So yeah, now we get Hart, RJ Barrett, and Sabonis. The projection total is obviously 4 points under the original lineup, but it's still a decent build there.
Yeah, and then one other. Oh, sorry, microphone got hit. One other thing we have a question from Hasty's asking no Trey. So if you wanted to squeeze someone in, you could always lock them in as well or increase their projection. But
like in this case, I usually, if I want to see what teams I would get, I would bump up his projection. Like I don't know, maybe 48, 49. I think that's a realistic expectation. Then we can see if he pops up and builds. He probably will. But as I mentioned earlier, it's hard to get there. Like even at 49, even if we project him for 49, he's still not in the top 10 lineups. Like he probably needs around, I don't know, 53, 54 probably. Well, but yeah, it's hard to fit him.
Right? Like you could look at the first one, it's 360, and last one 313. If you just lock Trey, we can see what impact that would have. We have 2 point guards already, actually.
That's why he wasn't coming in.
Yeah, we have 2 point guards. That's the problem. So you'd have to remove one of these guys then. Who would you?
Just remove Fultz. And then we have Trae Young at 49 now. So let's see if he pops up. We don't need to lock him. But yeah, as I was saying before with Trae Young, we don't have much value on this slate, so we can't. It's kind of hard to fit him in. But obviously, he's a great play if you do get there.
Yeah. So the issue before wasn't the total, but it was just that we had 2 point guards locked in. That's why we.
Yeah. So here you can see that the third lineup has Trae Young, and it's 2 points less than the first lineup. So we already bumped up Trae Young to 49. So if you would assume him to get, I don't know, 51, then that would be the first lineup. But it's kind of hard to predict someone to score 51, especially if they're not like Giannis, Luka, guys like that.
Yeah, and you could see even if you just remove that bumped up projection that we have for him, which isn't necessarily like our projections are solid, but if you have some take that you like more, definitely something you should adjust. But by default, even without locking in the 2-point cards, that's all we get just because there's such insane value today.
Yeah, those two guys with Fournier out project really well.
Yeah, so there's definitely lots of ways to utilize the DFS Crunch Optimizer to kind of fit your playstyle and whatever takes you have. So there's definitely a lot to work with there. From Trigger, Cole Anthony is interesting. Plus, he's a chucker.
He is a chucker. That's what we like. No Fournier, that obviously helps him. He'll probably eat into Michael Carter Williams. So if I am building lineups in GPPs, I would definitely make a group that has both of them in it, and then limit your lineups to only have one of those two guys.
Yeah, it seems like there's some good options today for GPP in the point guard slot. So you're going to probably have to limit some maximum percentages if you want to have a bit more different people filling up the point guard slot. But yeah, if you sort by the value, points per 1,000 fantasy dollars, Cole Anthony is the 5th highest projected point per dollar player here. Definitely Cole Anthony over Michael Carter Williams in the chat.
My lock is for cash games, and we got news that MCW is starting, so that's the only reason that he's there. Obviously, if Cole Anthony was starting, he would be the lock over MCW.
Yeah, and then some news. We have Goodwin. He's playing for Atlanta. Not sure if that matters. Does it matter?
He was getting the backup point guard minutes with Rondo out, so I mean, if he was out, Trae Young would probably be a better play, but it doesn't really matter too much.
Okay, let's jump into DraftKings. Who's your first core cash player here?
So we'll start off with MCW. As I said, he's starting for Fournier. 4.1K is just too cheap for him in this scenario. I like him a lot. Next up, Darius Garland. We noticed the pricing discrepancy between both sites. 6K on DraftKings, 7.5 on Fanduel. So just we're getting a huge discount on DraftKings, and for that reason, I like him a lot. We project him for around 33. I think that's realistic in this elite game environment. Clint Capella, I think he's too cheap on DraftKings as well, 5.2K. We have him for 31. I think that's pretty fair, just because this is the best game environment on the slate. Only 5.2K, as I said. So I think that's too cheap for him. And then lastly, I think we'll go with Andre Drummond. I think he's probably $1,000 too cheap on DraftKings. 9.2K just fits with the value pieces we have. And yeah, that's it. The 4 cash plays.
Okay,
core locks.
Check out this. Okay, looks good. Yeah, one thing we're going to be adding soon is adding a filter here at the top beside the position filter, where you'll see like different members of our community and their favorite plays. So I think to start, we'll put Chris's core cash plays here for both sites. So you'll have that all over here in our tool without having to go in Discord to ask or watch like the VOD if you missed the show to see who's in there. So I think that'll be quite useful because Chris can also update that throughout as news comes out. So definitely it'd be more convenient. Okay.
Yeah, and then when we get more content creators, like we'll get some other guys, and then they'll also have the ability to tag players for different contest types, stuff like that.
Yep.
So yeah, this is DraftKings. Obviously, we have our 4 guys locked in. So the difference between these two lineups is Ingram and Oladipo versus Sexton and Zion. Or no, not Sexton, Zion. Nance, Zion, sorry. So I guess we'll just go over the common pieces here. Garland, obviously a lock. Sexton, 7.1K. I like the price tag a bit more on FanDuel, but this price fits. We get the guy from the best game environment. He's their top shooter. Like, he shoots the most shots. MCW, a lock. Drummond, a lock. XM, we mentioned him, 3.6K. We project him to start, so just sort of makes the lineup fit. Lets us spend up for guys like Drummond and then Ingram if you're playing the first one. And then Clint Capella, he's a lock. I guess we can go over the 2v2 now. It's Ingram, Oladipo versus Nance, Zion. So if I'm just ranking Ingram versus Zion just because they're the same price range, I do like Ingram more. We project him for 2 more points, so that's usually pretty sharp. I do like Ingram. I think he has a pretty good shot at having a ceiling game today. Just for his price tag, I think he should be around 9K normally, as he is on FanDuel. So I think that's a bit too cheap for him. Zion has we have foul trouble concern there. Obviously, he can get there as well, but I do like Ingram more. And then Oladipo versus Nance. I like Nance here more, but if we're just considering the 2v2, I would probably go with the first side. I think we have a safer floor here. We have upside with Ingram and Oladipo with no Warren. So yeah, I do like the first side here.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Okay, we have some questions, comments from Hasty. Clint is a solid 30. Question from Ariane about the tool. When making player groups, what does the number beside do if you change them? So the way they work is if you make a player group here, I guess we can show it.
You could just make a new group. It'll be easier, and then I guess I can explain it. Like, I was mentioning that, or someone mentioned Cole Anthony, and then I was saying that MCW is starting for him. So for that reason, I think that when Cole Anthony comes in, he's going to come in for MCW. So you have to think to yourself, do you think both of these guys can hit their ceiling in the same game? So probably the logical answer is no, just because they will sub in for each other.
Yeah.
So for that reason, you would set the slider to 0 to 1. So that means every lineup you'll have a minimum of 0, so you're not jamming them in. And then the maximum of 1 means that you'll only get a maximum of 1 of these 2 guys in every single lineup generated.
Yeah. So that's what they do. On, like, you could do these groups for anything. So if you wouldn't want to do this, I don't think, but say you wanted like at least 2 guys in this group, you could bump that up to 2. And then it doesn't really matter since there's only 2 here, but the maximum would be the maximum in this group that you'd get. But if you had it like this, you would get at least 2 guys, so you'd get these guys in all of your lineups if you don't have any other like limitations, like if you don't have anyone locked already taking the spots. Yeah, let me just put that back to 0 to 1. And I guess if you're confused why I do them right now, like the way that I do them is just I have like 3 bins. I have yes. The first one's always yes. The second one's a maybe. And the third one is no. I do that just throughout the shows. Like as I talk to Chris and he says things that I like, don't like, and I think about it myself, I just add players who I'm going to look at after the show into my yes bin, maybe. And no, that's more for me just to look at for my research and construction. But the way I have the group set up, it's 0 to 8. So that just means in this group, every lineup should have a minimum of 0, a maximum of 10. So this has no impact at all with the 0 to 10 setting on the lineups here, because it's as if you didn't have the group. Let's see. Brandon says, I'm great on Discord. I think I should be invited. I think we have the link. If you're not there, we have the link. Yeah, you can join. We can talk about hair gel. We have an off-topic channel.
I'll get him in there.
Yep, and then we can send you the affiliate link for the hair gel as well. Can you make a lineup with Chetty in it? Yeah, we can try. I don't see why not. Let's do that.
Yeah, we can do that. Wait, ask him what site, and then we'll do that, and then I think we can wrap it up.
Trigger, what site do you want the Chetty lineup? Fanduel or Draftkings? And then back to Ariane's question about the player groups. he says, so situations like that, I should make new player groups. Yeah, for sure. Because the way the optimizer works is it just tries to jam in the highest like fantasy point lineups in here, but it doesn't take into account the negative correlations like Chris just went over. Like, do you think both of these guys will have a ceiling game together? And that's something. Yeah.
I just want to add to that. Maybe it'll be easier to understand. Like, you could do the same thing with LeBron and AD. Like, usually they don't both hit their ceiling in the same game. So if you're trying to take a contest down, you want all your players to hit their ceiling. And if you have LeBron and AD in the same lineup, you're kind of reducing your chances just because the likelihood of them both hitting their ceiling is pretty low. But on the other side, you could, if you have like two players that you think correlate well together, I don't know, for example, let's say you think the OKC Orlando game shoots out. So you can make a group that has SGA from OKC and then Vucevic from Orlando. So that means if the game stays close, if it's high scoring, you know that those guys are likely to hit their ceiling. So that's an example of positive correlation.
Yeah.
So then you would set your group to minimum 2 and then maximum 2 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of ways to use the optimizer. Lots of ways to kind of, I guess, enforce things that you think will happen in the games. So definitely something to play around with. It's a good feature. We added that, I think, a few months ago or a few weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Makes sense. Okay, I think he understands it now. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, we're always in the Discord, so you can bring something up there if you're a member. We can always go over it, and if you are on here during the show, you can always ask them. We can do it over the live stream, which I think is probably easier for a lot of people. Before we do the Chetty lineup, let's see. Herder or Hart in Fanduel from Ross?
Herder or Hart?
Yeah.
Cash or GPP, do we know? Probably GPP, just because I don't think those guys are cash viable. I would go with Hart. He's looked good. He's been seeing like 34, 32 minutes. So, yeah, I would go with Josh Hart there.
Hart. Okay. Yep. Looks like there's a lot of updates coming in now. Quite a bit. Fanduel. Yeah, Fanduel for the Chetty lineup. Let's go Orlando from O World. Lots of the Cavs with no Chetty. Osman, shake my head.
Yeah, okay, so let's if we're playing Chetty, just going back to what I said, if he gets there, I think it's in a blowout. So we can probably make a group that incorporates that, I guess. So let's make a group, Gary, and then let's add guys from that game who we think can have a good game in a blowout. So let's do Chetty, let's do Exum, I guess. And then on the other side, let's do Reddish, Hunter, Herder. And then, yeah, I think we can just lock Chetty in just because we think because in this assumption, we think he's going to play well. And then for the group, we can set it to like 2 to whatever. Yeah, okay. And then yeah, let's build it out, see what it gives us.
Yeah, one thing we do have to fix in the tool is when we get like a lot of news and updates, it kind of does slow down a bit, which is kind of frustrating doing the show. But yeah, it's not the worst, but we'll definitely fix that soon. We just had some other higher priority things we had to fix and we're working on. Like right now, we're trying to update our late swap so you don't have to, just to make it easier. Late swap, super important. Last slate with Siakam, something you definitely need to have working. That's simple and easy to use. So late swap is the higher priority now, but we'll definitely fix the speed of the site when updates come in. But yeah, here's your Chetty.
We gotta go back and unlock Nance. Just probably because we don't want Chetty and Nance together. So let's also set a player group that says that we don't want both of them in it. So he'll just add Chetty, he'll add Larry Nance, and then he'll set the slider to 0 to 1. And then since we have Chetty locked, we're not going to get any Nance anymore. So let's see what happens here.
Some comments. Let's see. Chetty has 40-point upside and 360 windmill upside as well. Chris greater than Cardi from Brandon.
Yeah, who's? Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Especially MLB.
Oh wait,
Okay,
yeah, here
so,
it is.
Yeah, so so now we have Chetty, unfortunately, and then we have the bring back on the other side with Reddish or Hunter. So I guess if you think this game can blow out, the game that you're predicting to happen is that the Cavs win by a lot, and then Sexton and Drummond are the guys that get them to the blowout point, and then in the blowout run you have Chetty, and you also have the bring back from Atlanta with Reddish or Hunter or Herter in the 9th lineup. So,
I mean, if that happens, you'd be set up really well with these groups if it happens.
You kind of want your lineup to tell a story. So, as I said, Cleveland blows out Atlanta. Sexton and Drummond are the main guys that do the damage for Cleveland in the regular time, and then in blowout time it's Chetty and Reddish or Hunter or Herter, and then the rest of your pieces are pretty chalky. You get Fultz, MCW, SGA, Zion, Randall. So all these guys are solid plays. So yeah, I don't hate it. Like you gotta assume that your game script goes as you predicted.
Yep. Let me just switch this back to the cash ones. I think we just have to add Nance back in here. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it then for today, unless there's any other questions. Is there anything else you want to go over, Chris?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed the show, subscribe so you can get more notifications. Hit the bell button so you get emails when we go live every single day, 2 hours before the main slate locks. We're doing this. Also leading up to the lock, we're in the Discord answering questions, bringing up any slate breaking news, anything important, answering your lineup questions, construction questions, all that stuff. If you guys like what you see with the optimizer and our projections and our tool, check us out at dfscrunch.com. All the subscriptions you get 3 days, 3 days for free, monthly, weekly, yearly if you're crazy. You get access to all of that, access to the Discord, access to all the sports. We actually have a bankroll tracker, so you can actually upload your contest history and sort of see how you perform. It's still kind of being developed, but it's something that we're working on. It's in the sidebar if you haven't seen it or tried it out. It's right here. There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of sports. No risk, three days for free. Good value. And with that said, we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and good luck today.